Mom had 10 minutes of control time, and
Uh,
she doubled the strikes in almost every aspect. And they gave it to Vieira, and I'm just like, well, okay. I don't know. I don't know what these people saw, but I mean,
yeah, I feel like judging has been pretty weird recently, but oh well.
right. It's like been a thing recently, and then all of a sudden, I feel like it's getting worse. Maybe it's just
Yeah,
because they're bringing light to it. It's like now people are really noticing it. It's just like, what the fuck? Like, what is going
yeah,
on?
for sure.
So, from what I understand, like, so you did something with the PFL, right? Like a contender series.
Yeah, it's pretty much like Contender Series. I'd say it's like probably like a smaller version of Contender Series, but
Right.
yeah, just Challenger Series. I mean, um, same concept. One person gets a contract, and yeah, I mean, it was a really fun night, man.
Yeah. So how does that work compared to like contender series? Is it pretty much the same thing?
Yeah, hey, yeah, I'd say it's the same except for you know PFL obviously has like its seasons, right?
Right.
And
Right.
since it was like more of like my professional debut, they're just gonna put me on like the undercards of the season, so I won't be like actually in like the $1 million tournament because I only have one fight, so I'd be kind of bad if they put me in against guys with like 20-30 fights, But
Right. I mean, PFL's I like PFL though, man. Like the way that they do it is a little bit different, but I mean, like they've got some pretty big. I know like Jeremy Stevens fights in there now. Like they've got some big names that fight for PFL that are. I mean, I guess
yeah,
they're
they got
veterans. I guess. So how many amateur fights did you have before you made like that pro debut?
for well, it's when I tell people I only had 4 mixed martial arts amateur fights, they're like, oh, what? You should have had more and went pro. Um, but I had, I pretty much grew up fighting my whole life. So I was like from 9 years old is when I started competing. I started competing in boxing and wrestling when I was 9 years old.
Okay.
So it's like, I had 88 boxing fights, amateur, and
Wow.
and I had over 500 wrestling matches. And I have like this really long sheet. I don't know if you can see it behind me, but there's like papers.
Before?
Yeah, and it's just like papers. My dad would write down every single match, whether it was wrestling or boxing, down, win, loss, whatever. And it's like, I don't know, probably like a total of like 15 and 20 feet of paper because it's on the front. We have all our tournaments down, and then on the back as well. He wrote down every single tournament, dates, how many we won, how many we lost that day, and yeah, it was, I'm happy that he did that.
Oh yeah, no, that's definitely like a good. It's kind of like similar to like you'll see parents kind of write like the height on a door or something. As kids are growing up, but like it's with fights, and it's like you can kind of look back and I'm sure you remember glimpses of almost every one of them. Win, loss, draw,
Oh yeah,
whatever it was. It's just like it's there. You're not gonna forget any of them, but you have it on paper. That's pretty cool.
yeah,
A lot of fights. Most people don't have that many amateur fights, whether it's MMA or spread across whatever it is. So you pretty big into wrestling. Have you ventured into like any jiu-jitsu or anything like that?
so I mean, I started jiu-jitsu was actually the very first sport I started, like
Okay.
combat sport. I started when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I believe. Um, so yeah, I started that, and I did it for like 2 years at this very, very old location that National MMA has. I train at National MMA currently, but we had like this old location, and I mean it was a really nice gym. It was like really big, spacious, and yeah, I was just pretty much just taking the kids class there, and that's kind of how I got like introduced to mixed martial arts, like why it was more.
Right.
Um, and I mean, I was like a 2-stripe green belt, I think, as a kid, and then there's like some things that happened, and we left the gym, and I wrestled for like seven years, I think, until I came back to jiu-jitsu at 16 years old. And yeah, I mean, from there, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 5.5 years now. So I'm currently a purple belt. Got promoted a couple months ago. So yeah, currently a purple belt. So
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean
yeah.
that's people like they don't get like, man, when you watch like a really good grappling fight, like whether it's MMA or not, like, there's not a lot of respect for it, but like people don't understand the energy that gets put into that versus striking. It's completely different.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I guess everyone wants to see someone get knocked out. That's just how how fans are.
I mean,
I mean,
I'd almost rather be. I think I'd rather be knocked out than like some of the like chokes and stuff you can get put into. I don't know. I think I'd rather just get it's one shot because those are painful. Man. Like watching some of the things like where people don't tap or where people don't. I'm like Tony Ferguson. I don't know if you watched when he fought Benito Dariush. He was a dude. Like the guy had his. It was so deep. I think it was a leg lock. And I'm just like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong? Like, there's no way. It just looks painful. I'm good.
I think Dariush tore both of Ferguson's knees. I think he had him in like 2 or 3 heel hooks that whole fight, and he just let him pop. It was gross.
He was like sitting there screaming, and I'm like, that's not gonna tap, but he'll scream. That's Tony Ferguson for you.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's the difference between like a lot of people don't know the difference between wrestling and jiu-jitsu. Like Colby Covington's a perfect example of like the dude will sit there and just like what he did to Masvidal. That's cardio wrestling, and then you got guys like Oliveira or Brian Ortega who slip into a freaking triangle so quick. And it's what do you think about Oliveira? His recent run.
Dude, Oliveira is a monster, man. I have a lot of respect for that dude. I mean, he's tough. He's just tough. Like he gets rocked every single title fight he's pretty much had. He gets like this close to being finished, and then he just pulls off a victory. And apparently, I don't know if you've seen, but Justin Gaethje said he hits like super hard.
Yeah, so I walked up to him after the fight. I saw that. He's like, dude, you hit really hard.
I guess that's probably one of the reasons he's so good. I mean, he has insane jiu-jitsu and he hits hard, so that's
he's just so technical. Ever since he switched to shoot box, man, like his striking is like so. It's not like it's like crazy good, but it's like it's technical. It's very very technical. He's precise, and I mean, I guess his hips just turn into it. And like I don't think I've ever seen Gaethje drop like that. Like not that hard. That was nasty. I think Gaethje. I don't think he'll be calling him a coward anymore.
Yeah, for sure. Not anymore. Nope.
No, not after that. And then you got like it's real. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with Islam and him because man, there's so much hype around him. It's just like you don't know how good he is, but you kind of do. I mean, you kind of,
I think Islam is obviously a really good fighter, but I don't think he's going to be able to beat Oliveira, especially with his role that's going on now. I mean, Islam is good, but I don't think he's like Khabib good, right? I think like Khabib would have been the one to beat Oliveira. I don't think Islam can do. I could be wrong. I mean,
right. People surprise you, Like think about Khabib was like he never got hit. He was just so dominant from every aspect of like he couldn't strike, but it didn't matter. I mean, he just had one big right hand, and like as soon as or if he took you down, like it seemed like it was it. I don't know. The guy's a. I mean, it's kind of hard to know how good he really is because he called it quits, when he did, but he still dominated everybody. I mean, he dominated Conor McGregor, he dominated Poirier, he dominated same thing Oliveira's done. I mean, I think you're right though. I think that ground and pound, that just being so heavy on top. I don't know if anybody could really. We'll never know. We'll never know.
We'll never know until we see it. Right.
Exactly. He wants to. I think he wants to do a grappling match with Georges St. Pierre. That'd be interesting to see. He's old. Yeah. It's not a fight. It's grappling. So I mean, I don't think the age would be too big of a. I don't know. He looks like he's still in pretty insane shape.
I mean, I see St. Pierre training with some of those like those what is that squad called? with Gary Tonin and
Oh yeah.
yeah, the Death Squad, whatever. Yeah, I saw he's been training with Gordon Ryan and all them, and
That
I mean,
dude's insane.
maybe his jiu-jitsu is getting way better. Who knows?
Yeah, Gordon Ryan is a if he could stay healthy, I mean he's already probably one of the greatest jiu-jitsu people ever. You know, like his jiu-jitsu is just, I mean he just does things to people that it's like, nah, I'm good. So you're right now, I guess with the PFL, you'll be like kind of on the undercard. So what does that future look like with PFL? Like as you move up, does it just take a couple of fights to kind of before you start getting into the seasons, or
Yeah. I mean, obviously though, I mean, when I get a couple more fights, I'll probably get invited to the regular season, but it would probably have to be, at least like 9 or 10 fights until that happens. So it's probably going to be a little bit. I'm just going to work on building myself, as a fighter, as a person. Um, just get more fans and hopefully, make exciting fights, and that's really all I'm about. I'm not rushing anywhere. I just turned 21 years old, so I'm like, I still got a long time to go. So I don't want to rush it anywhere. I just want to build myself slowly and do it very smart. And if a huge opportunity comes, I'm taking it, and that's really all I'm here for.
I mean that's a good approach. I mean look at Cheeto Vera. He kind of took that same approach in the UFC, obviously, but he slowly did it. Now, dude, he might be a champion soon. He might be.
Yeah.
O'Malley's kind of doing the same thing, like he slowly, kind of getting the matches that maybe working a little bit of favor for him, but he's taking his time, learning, and now he's got to fight with Pedro Munoz. That's going to be. I still think that length is going to be too much. It's another matchup that's kind of favorable for him, but
Yeah. Even though a lot of people don't like Sean O'Malley, which I see why,
yeah,
I still think like not look at him as a person. Obviously, like I see that he's like trolling people and he loves making jokes and all that. But as a fighter, I think his striking is like elite. Like his boxing, his striking is probably one of the like arguably one of the best in the UFC. Like his striking is so clean, his technique, his movement. I mean, it's almost unmatchable, to be honest. But
yeah. Another guy that we talked to, Carlos Lazoya, he fought O'Malley and I think in his last fight in this amateur, and he was just saying that the dude is so good at connecting on the end of his punches. Like he keeps his range, but he's so good at connecting on the end of his punches and not like throwing these half-ass strikes. And I'm like, that's true. That's so true. When you watch everybody he's fought, like they can't get inside except for Cheeto Vera. Cheeto Vera kind of was destroying him a little bit, but shit. I mean,
well, actually, about that Cheeto Vera fight, I don't know. I feel like Sean O'Malley had the better of him in the beginning, like 2.5.
Yeah, till like the
like,
nerve
he
problem.
was lighting him. Yeah, he was lighting him up until that ankle, but I don't know. I guess hopefully that matchup happens again because I want to see what O'Malley, how is he going to perform when that. I mean, obviously not to take credit away from Cheeto, he won that fight fair and square, but
Yeah. No, I think I think you're right. I definitely think you're right. I mean, I think that foot or ankle, whatever it is, I think it's been a problem for him before. I don't know, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And I don't know what kind of ground game the kid's got either. I don't think anybody does. I mean, he obviously trains with Tim, who's stupid good on the ground, but
yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen until you see him with a grappler. I don't see him with the level of Aljamain at all. I mean, the guy rides people like a backpack. Like, and look what he did to Peter Yan. I mean, stupid. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. What kind of fights do you like getting into yourself? Do you like the grappling, or do you like to stand and bang, or does it just kind of depend?
Dude, it's I feel like it's different every time. So my plan coming into this last fight at the PFL was to strike because obviously I wanted to make an exciting fight and get like a flashy knockout for the judges. But man, like there was like some stuff that happened, and it was just like we arrived at the PFL like stadium, whatever, at like 12:45. And we go in there, and I just warm up straight away because I'm the third fight. So I want, I want to be warm. I want to stay loose and get warm as fast as I can. And as soon as I started stretching and warming up, it's already almost time to start. I think the start time was like 1:45, and there's like an awkward pause, and the first guy's already up, up and ready to go. The cameras are on him. I'm thinking he's gonna go out any second, and then pause for like 40 minutes, and no one else. Like after like 25 minutes, they tell us like, "Hey, Vitor Belfort is late." And we don't know where he's at. We can't call him because he's one of the commentators for that thing. And I don't know like how much to warm up and all that. So after he finally shows up after like an hour. It's already like 2:30 p.m. And they finally go ahead and get started. I think there's a lot of talented guys here. They're all going to be like first to second round finishes. That's what I'm thinking. And, that didn't happen as well. The first two fights were all 3 rounds and they were super long. And again, I was warming up like 2 or 3 times between all of those fights. And then when it's my turn to go out, the cameras are on me. They're like, "Okay, you ready to go out?" And I'm trying to make myself feel good. Like I'm trying to bounce around there, get in the zone, get hype, but my body just isn't responding. My spine is shot. Like my spine hurts. Right before I went out, like my legs are shot. I feel like I almost like burnt out in a way. And it was just, I didn't see it as my best performance and not even close to what I can do. I guess it's just an unfortunate thing that I kind of messed up. I shouldn't have warmed up so much, coming into it. Obviously I didn't know, but it was partially my fault. My dad was always telling me, "Hey, you should like stop warming up and sit down and relax for a little bit." But I was just so like pumped and hyped, and I felt so good that morning when I did like my workout and hit the pads. I felt so good. I was like ready to go, but things happen, and I know next time that won't happen, and I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna perform. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's definitely one of those things you kind of learn. Like it's just you did it and you're like, "Oh shit, I know exactly what I did here." Like, you know. So no, that's interesting, man. I like the. I mean, definitely learn from it. What is so if you like obviously like you have this opportunity with the PFL right now? Is there like a dream organization that you want to fight in, whether it's Bellator, UFC? I mean, do you kind of have a preference, or you just kind of going with the flow?
No, I don't have a preference. I think PFL is an amazing promotion, and I'm excited to be fighting for them. The way they ran everything was just so professional. I mean, everything was on time. They treat the fighters super well. They take care of you, and I'm excited to fight for PFL, and I'm really grateful to be in such an amazing promotion, and I'm just happy to fight for them.
No, for sure. No, I think that's awesome. I think it's like MMA is growing too. Like the PFL isn't it, they're pretty big. They're up there with Bellator. They're right behind the UFC. I mean, the sport is growing like stupid. It is growing at a rate that's like there's a lot of casual fans. Which isn't a bad thing at all. I mean, it's just kind of it comes with it. Like it's. But I definitely think the PFL like that's a really badass opportunity. For you to have. Especially with the like, you get in there and like on the main card, just some of the names that you could fight against. They have some veterans in there that are really good still, even at the end of their career. They're. I mean, when I watched Jeremy Stevens last fight, I was just like, wow, this dude is no joke at all. I mean, he's still got it. Whether it's in the UFC or PFL. I mean, the dude he looked like vintage Jeremy Stevens is what he looked like. It was crazy.
Yeah, that guy who fought Clay Collard was a beast. The Clay Collard, the boxer guy.
Yeah. Some of the talent that comes, like people don't realize it, but these other organizations have talent too. Like the UFC is kind of the one known for it, but man, like watching like AJ McKee and Pitbull. I mean, that was such a good fight. Man, like with Bellator, like I was like, I don't see those guys necessarily competing with Volkanovski, because Volkanovski is obviously probably the best in the world for a reason. But you never know, man. I mean, like if one of them were ever to go to the UFC, I mean, look at Mike Chandler. I mean, he's kind of made that switch from Bellator, and she kind of broke Tony Ferguson's head. You see,
Yeah,
so he went to the hospital afterwards, and he had no concussion after that. I was
yeah,
like,
that's
what? The dude's not human. I don't think he's human at all. There's no way. I felt like it doesn't take much to get a concussion when you get hit like that. And he said he didn't know where he was for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, that's impressive. That is super impressive. What what kind of like who do you look up to? Like, because you're still pretty young, or like when you were younger, especially, what fighters did you kind of look up to that kind of you were just like, man, like that's awesome. Like I want to be like that guy one day, or you like kind of model your game after.
well, it used to be John Jones, all right, but now we all know John Jones has kind of went down a path where he's not really a person that a lot of people look up to anymore. But I always thought he was like a phenomenal fighter, and just like the way he used his wrestling and just his kicks, elbows, just everything. I just felt like he was such a it was just such a unique fighter, and I looked up to him especially because he was one of the youngest UFC champions.
Mm-hmm.
So that was also like something that I was like I saw myself in. But also a big role model, I would say, was probably GSP, George St. Pierre. I mean, he is just like the way, how humble he was and how respectful he was to everyone. And he would just go out there and do his job. And I had a lot of respect for GSP and John Jones. John Jones was definitely my favorite fighter growing up, but GSP was like the person I looked up to.
Right. I mean, yeah, John Jones' personal decision set aside. I mean, I think he's going to be a problem in the heavyweight division. I mean, honestly, if he ever can get a fight, I mean, the dude was on a treadmill running 20 miles an hour at 250 pounds. I'm like, the guy's if he just keep himself away from the trouble, outside of fighting, I think that he may be the greatest to ever do it. I mean, we're gonna find out for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Him and Stipe that'll be really interesting to see. I will be tuning in if it ever happens. I will be tuning in for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Man, I still like when I watched that. I guess it was your last amateur fight in Valor. I did. Oh man, I couldn't believe what I saw. I was like, it's the first round. I guess you were kind of feeling each other out, and then the second round, it just didn't. It didn't take much. I was just like, the guy kind of like gave me Johnny Walker vibes whenever he got knocked out by Jamal Hill. And then I went back and watched some of the other guys' fights, and he wasn't. I mean, he was like he liked to brawl.
Yeah,
I mean, that kid was a good fighter. And I mean,
for sure. I mean, Bronson was like a tough matchup for sure. I thought he was going to go out and grapple with me, but I guess he like obviously did his research about me. And an interesting thing is I used to have like all my fights posted up on YouTube. Like for some reason, like my family, it was just kind of like our tradition. And we would have every single thing. So like all 500 wrestling matches and like all my boxing fights were posted up on YouTube. And so I knew like when I got into MMA, I didn't think people were so political over choosing their matchups. Like that was never like a thing that occurred to me. But when I was 18 years old, I was trying to get my first fight. Like I was trying to get on a card, and I had 6 people back out in 1 week because they would type my name in, and there was like 400, 500 videos just pop up of me wrestling since I was from like 9 years old to like 17, 18 years old and boxing. And people are like, no, we're not doing that. So they obviously would just like back out. And I mean, I even went ahead and deleted like pretty much all my boxing posts from my Instagram too. I just kept like wrestling because, people aren't really too worried about that, I guess, for some reason. And I guess Bronson, because I was actually listening to an interview he did right before the fight. They called him up and he did like a interview, and they asked him like, what are you going to do against like Pergrande? And he was like, yeah, we're just going to stand and bang. I know he's a wrestler and I'm a wrestler, so it's going to like cancel out. And, but I guess he didn't really know that I was like a really big, fan of striking. And for that fight specifically, like the 3 fights before that I had, the amateurs, like I don't really have like a set plan of what I wanted to do. But since I knew this was my title fight and this was my last amateur fight, I'm like, dude, I'm tired of feeling submissions. I'm going out there and feeling a knockout. That's literally what I set my mind to. I mean, in the first round, I like rocked him and like almost finished him with like a head kick. But when I took him down, I literally had a mounted triangle. So I could have just, just locked up the triangle, flipped over and tapped him out. Like I could have easily done that. But when I was sitting on him in like that S mount and I had like a clear triangle, I was like, no, I'm going to the second round. I don't care. I'm letting him up. And I mean, it literally just went like everything was just perfect there. And I'm happy like that cameraman caught like the angle of like that knockout. I mean, it was violent. It's like one of those knockouts that's like once in a lifetime. It's kind of hard to like repeat, so I kind of, it's kind of a bad thing, but I was comparing my performances, comparing it to that performance, but it's obviously not something I should do because that's like one of those like once in a lifetime, couple times in a lifetime kind of,
Right.
brutal knockout. Yeah, I just gotta go out there and just keep winning. Since I'm pro now, it doesn't really matter how you win anymore. You just gotta win. So.
Right. I mean, especially you're competing against people that are either at your level or maybe have an edge in some of their game that you don't. Like as you keep growing, I mean that's going to happen. You're going to find these matchups where. What kind of matchup do you think gives you the most trouble?
Probably. I don't know. I would love to have a striking matchup. Someone that just strikes. That would probably be a good matchup for me. A bad matchup. Probably anyone that's stronger than me. I mean, that's kind of a given, but
yeah. No, man.
Anyone. I mean, I can usually find my way through like, I can be slick and all that, but if someone has like really good ground control, that'd probably be a bad matchup for me. I mean, I feel like it's a bad matchup for anyone. Someone like Khabib or something like that with like super good ground control. But yeah, I mean, I feel pretty confident with like all my games. So like my striking game and my grappling game. And obviously I wrestle a little bit. I can scramble. I can pull off submissions. So
yeah,
I'm pretty good games.
For sure. Yeah, I think you're a lot more well-rounded than a lot of people that kind of venture into MMA. They'll have like boxing. They'll have Muay Thai, and they'll start turning jiu-jitsu when they get into it, and then you see them struggle a little bit. And I mean, I think you definitely have a big advantage being so well-rounded because, like you said, someone stronger than you, that's just going to be the problem. Like, I don't know if you saw Kaikar France when he fought Askar Askarov. He was literally just stronger than him. He got the dude was he literally had him in a lock. He had it locked in. Choke was locked in, and then Kaikar France just ripped it off. And I'm like, well, I don't think you can do anything about that. I mean, he's just stronger than him. That's crazy. Watching that, I was just like, I didn't think anybody was going to be able to get out of those submissions from that guy. But yeah, it's crazy. Have you tuned in to any of the Eagle FC fights?
No, but I've been keeping up on like Instagram and like seeing who's like winning, who's not. But yeah, I'm interested in Eagle FC. I think that's a really cool promotion, and I like what they're doing. They seem like they know what they're doing, and I like it.
I kind of watched the first fights of theirs this past Friday, and I watched Thiago Silva and I guess his old coach or his old trainer. They fought. It came to an end. He like Thiago Silva kind of sat him down and had like an illegal knee. He caught himself with the knee, but then I was just like, damn, you don't want to see a fight in like that. And then Junior Dos Santos looked really, really good. That's the one I wanted to see. He was fighting one of John Jones' sparring partners, and it really wasn't even close. And then he went and threw a big right hand. And his shoulder just popped out, and I was like, oh no. Like, you don't want that. And like, it's just another, like, it was like right after the co-main event, it was like another fight ended like that. And I'm like, oh, that hurts. Because they wanted him to fight Fedor if that way, like if he won. And I'm like, dude, that would have been legendary. That would have been so legendary. Just, I don't like seeing people get hurt like that. I mean, it's like nothing happened to him. He just his body kind of gave out on him. But anyway, he's been through the ringer. I mean, I think his last couple UFC fights, he fought like Francis, fought Cyril Gane. I mean, it wasn't favorable for him. They're not being 40 years old.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard sometimes to hang it up, just because you've been doing it your whole life, and you're still, you still got a lot of fans and a lot of people that want to see you fight and still believe in you. So I bet it's super hard to just stop training and just go on to like a life that you don't. I mean, especially for me, like I don't really have a life outside of training. So, the only thing I could see like me doing after I retire is probably like still being somehow involved in mixed martial arts, whether it's like coaching or something like that. It's just it's just super hard to hang it up, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I could see one.
I mean, I can imagine, like you said, I mean, you got to be involved somehow. I mean, Georgia St. Pierre's doing it. I mean, that's what Tony Ferguson said too. He said if he wouldn't look good in the first round against Michael Chandler, like he's like, I would have been done. I would have coached, but like I'd be done. And
Right.
like he really did look pretty good in the first round. He dropped Chandler. Chandler had a big, nasty black eye. I mean,
Yeah.
So Tony Ferguson did look pretty good. I mean, it was just like a freak knockout. Like I don't even like watching it. I look at it and I'm just like, ooh. What do you think about so I mean you obviously got a boxing background too. Are you a Canelo fan? You like Canelo?
He was. I mean, I was more of a Triple G fan, to be honest. But
Triple G won first fight.
yeah. I thought Triple G won at least one of those fights against Canelo. But yeah, I mean, actually, Canelo. I mean, yeah, Canelo's a great fighter. I mean, he just fought he just fought Bivol.
Yeah,
I know he just lost.
Yeah. Watching that guy's combos were just. I think he was just too big for Canelo. He was just too big. Canelo couldn't get through his guard, and when I like watching, he would just throw in like 8-piece combos, and I was like, dude, that is an art. I mean, you just don't see that a lot. I mean, look at Anderson Silva too, man. He ventured into the boxing world, and he beat Cesar Chavez Jr. I'm just like, he might have like made himself the greatest combat sports athlete of all time by doing that.
Right.
You don't see the transitions is not what people think, like there's very few people that can go over, like if they start in MMA, you switch to boxing, you try to box a peer boxer. More than me, it's different sport, everything's different. I mean,
it's hard to like tune in like everything at once. Like it took me a while to like, because like I did everything like so separately. Like literally we would have like seasons is pretty much how I grew up. So during the summertime, like summer to like fall time, would be spring through summer to fall would probably be like where I would only do boxing. And then 4 months, which is wrestling season, that's when I would wrestle during the winter. And it would literally just switch between that. So I never like only did one thing. So it was like I would literally just switch in between,
right.
It would be a thing. So it was pretty cool. And then, transition to MMA, it's like I had to put everything together. Right. So I had to put, and then kicking was pretty new to me because, I didn't really do much kickboxing. Kicking was very new to me. I mean, I had just started kicking out like 16 years old. 16, 17 years old is when I started like throwing kicks. And that's also something that I've tried to improve on. And I feel like I've really improved on throughout the years. And, I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to get better and better at it every single day and just evolve my game. But yeah, like just like mixing everything together. I feel like I literally just recently like started feeling more comfortable on mixing it, like the whole thing together of like knowing when I should strike, knowing when I should go in for a takedown. It's difficult. It's a lot of like mind work. So it's fun though. It's fun though. I enjoy it.
No, I imagine for sure. I mean, yeah, no, there's definitely like I think when you like look at I don't know, you kind of put everything together. Like the level changes that you do in MMA, and I think the mind, especially when you're fighting other people that are super strong in other all these different forms of game, you're like, shit, what? I mean, I can't imagine what you're thinking in a fight. You're constantly like, it just takes one wrong decision and you're gonna get taken down. You might get knocked out. You might take a big shot. It's a lot. In boxing, the footwork's different. It's just crazy. It's great. Clarissa Shields has done a pretty good job at kind of doing the crossover. But man, like watching her, like when they take her down, it's just like, oh fuck. She's learning. She's learning for sure. She's an athlete. She
Yeah, it's
fighting for PFL, wasn't she?
yeah. I think she's fighting for PFL now. I haven't really seen any of her fights, but I probably gotta look into that because I've always been interested in that. But I don't know. I saw she's been training like John Jones and all that stuff. But like, I don't know. I hope.
About Jake Paul in the boxing world. You think he's kind of talented, or you think it's just kind of like?
Man, Jake Paul.
It's always a question I love to ask because, like, I get different points of view, and I'm just like, I don't know.
He's a businessman. He's smart. Like I can't deny that. And I feel like he's making it better for MMA fighters with like the pay thing and being up Dana's ass about paying fighters more and stuff like that, which I feel like is good. But I think he has something. He's definitely not like a high talented, he's not like Canelo, right? He's probably gonna keep picking his matchups until he just faces someone like Bivol, for example, and he's not gonna get through someone like that, He's be a businessman. I know he's gonna just try to make money, shit talk, and pick smart matchups, and he's gonna keep looking good just because of the people he's fighting. But he's not a bad boxer. He's definitely improved a lot, I feel like, from where he started.
Oh yeah.
But he's a smart businessman, and he's making his money, and
I don't understand the take of like, it's like people think he's like, dude, he's an athlete. Him and his brother both were pretty high level wrestlers, from what I understand. And then like he's not like some bum like sitting on his couch, like people have to take him. I'm like, I think the kid he's got a lot of money too, so he can pay the people that are training him are very high level in boxing. Like the kid, he could be good. He could be really good. I mean, he knocked out. He knocked out what's his name? Tyron Woodley. I mean, yeah, Tyron's a wrestler. He okay boxer. Like big right hand, but yeah, like you said, he picks his matchup smart, and I don't know what those takes. He's an athlete,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I hope he does well. I mean, I hope he continues to do what he's doing with like the trying to get fighters to get paid more, and maybe he even makes his own promotion. No, that'd be pretty cool to see.
Really cool. Yeah, with that background, like I mean, with the amount of money he's got and the amount of pool, yeah, that'd be really cool. I mean, kind of be interested to see if he fights Tommy Fury next. I think Tommy Fury's a better boxer than him. Yeah. Tommy looks pretty crisp. And he doesn't get a lot of knockouts, not a lot of big shots. But I think with boxing, like people don't realize it, but dude, I think Canelo's like first 18 fights were people like their combined record. They had like 10 wins or 11 wins. They weren't big time people, and so Jake Paul attacks Tommy on that. I'm like, they're still boxers though. They're still.
No, it's just the boxing game because I was growing up, I never thought I was going to do mixed martial arts. Even though I did wrestle, I was going to be a professional boxer. That was like my end goal.
Right.
I know how, all those matchups in boxing, like the first 10, 12, they're all just setup fights just to make you,
exactly.
Build yourself up. Yeah, they just give you cans and for you to knock them out and look good. And that's just how boxing is. That's
right.
And that's why I feel like I'm kind of incorporating that a little bit into MMA, and I want to like be smart with my matchups and pick my matchups right. Obviously, being in a bigger promotion at PFL, you don't really have much choice to pick your matchups. But hopefully, I keep getting good matchups, and I'll just level up. That's all I care about.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, definitely. I think It's kind of like Sean O'Malley's done, kind of like Cheeto Vera did. Like you need those good matchups, until eventually, like when you want to prove that you're the best, then that's when, first of all, you deserve to be getting paid for it because you're literally kind of putting your life on the line. Second, I mean, those matchups are going to be tough. They're going to be tough, and I guess the way the PFL does is a little bit different, but you're still paying. Like when you get to that lot, like that champion status, I mean, those people are good. They're all good. They're just as good or better than whoever they're fighting. I mean, sometimes I don't know. It's a different fight every time you step in. You see it. You see it every time. I mean, Connor knocked out Dustin Poirier at 45, and then got dominated twice at 50. I mean, he's never been a good lightweight. I don't think he's.
Yeah.
He knocked out Eddie Alvarez, and then he that was kind of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I feel like he was really dominant at 145, but I guess he's moving up to 70 now. Have you seen his posts and stuff?
He is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see him. I don't know. I don't think I see him like the welterweight division is so stacked in the UFC.
Yeah.
I mean, like with Hamzat, you got Gilbert Burns, but like some of the younger, like Sean Brady. I mean, the guy's Usman's gonna have his work cut out for him. Kind of like coming up, like the younger. There's a lot of really good young stars in the UFC that are about to be there, and they're good. Yeah. There's another guy. He's Russian. He's like 15-0 or 16-0. Shavkat, I think.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I think he's I think he's he's from Kazakhstan, I think.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, no, he's really good, man. He's more of a striker. Did you watch the Gilbert Hamzat fight?
Oh yeah. Of course I did.
That was like, what do you think would have happened if it was 5 rounds?
Fuck, I think Hamzat would have pulled that off. He seemed a little bit more. I don't know. He seemed just a little bit more dominant, I feel like. Yeah, Gilbert clipped him a couple times real good and almost even ended the fight. But Hamzat, he looks stronger. So
yeah, no, Hamzat's I think Colby's kind of ducking him right now. I don't know if I blame him.
Yeah.
I don't know if I blame him. I mean, Hamzat's that dude's good, man. He's good. I don't know how long he'll be able to do it at 170 because
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I hope he'll be good at 170. So we'll see. We'll see for sure.
Yeah, but you fight at 155, or do you?
Yeah.
Do you ever see yourself going up in the future, or do you kind of like the lightweight?
I don't know. I do feel like I still have a lot of growing to do, a lot of muscle mass to put on, maybe even some height. I feel like I'm still growing and I'm still getting stronger. So I don't know, maybe in 5 years or something like that, I'll go up to 170.
Right.
But I don't see myself going up to 170 in the next couple of years. So I'll probably be, sticking at 155 because I'm not cutting way too much, like 20, 25 pounds right now. So it's not like a super hard cut or anything. So it's manageable. So I'm happy where I'm at. So.
Oh yeah, no, and definitely if you're comfortable. And obviously as you grow in your career, like you'll have different nutritionists. I'm sure. Does the PFL offer that kind of stuff? Do they have like a nutrition team, or do you have like your own? Or
well, I haven't been on the regular like season cards. I have yet to experience that because I only fought on that card. But I mean, hopefully that'd be pretty cool. We'll see. Hopefully I'll get a fight in the next couple months and I'll get that full experience, that full PFL experience.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's what I was gonna say. Is like obviously as you grow, I think like that kind of stuff like will help you put on that weight. Like that you're not gonna lose. Like that muscle mass that you're talking about. I mean, look at Connor as he's getting money. I mean, the guy is. I don't know if it's good for him to be that big. I don't know if he kind of looks stiff, but he's also coming off of a leg break that was pretty nasty. So I don't know. Like I don't even know if he'll actually fight again. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see him in there again. But
I want to see him and Chandler at 170. I think that would be a great fight.
Yeah, Chandler's a beast, dude, because he's actually the co-owner of my gym, and he pops in here and there and trains with me. He's just a unit, man. He's just a unit. He's every time I come in, he like does like wrestling. We do like wrestling. We wrestle for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And man, it's something else. I'll tell you, man, it's something else.
He just seems like a genuinely actually. He seems like a genuinely really good guy. That's the vibes that Mike Chandler gets off. It's just like I don't know how you can't like him. He doesn't. He's not a big shit talker. He's just there are the memes and stuff about like like him saying like, oh, we're cut from the same cloth. He's the way that he talks is kind of funny because he goes into so much detail. But dude, since he's like, I've always been a fan of Chandler. Like since he was in Bellator 10-0. And I was like, I was a kid then, but like as he's like when he came to the UFC, I was like, this is awesome. This is going to be, and he's been within inches of. He almost finished Oliveira. I mean, he could have beat Gaethje, I think, if he would have fought a different fight. He put on a show.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
well,
he just want to get a little bit more fans and attention. That's I think that's like the biggest reason he probably moved to UFC. I mean, and that's good for him because what he wants to do. I mean, I've talked to him about it with what he has, his goals. UFC is definitely the best move for him because he had obviously a bunch of offers when he was a free agent for a lot more money than UFC, but
right.
For what he wants to do in the future, UFC was the best move for him, and I'm proud of him for doing that and choosing UFC, and he's obviously doing great. So proud of him.
Yeah, I guess the UFC doesn't pay as much, but they do give you a platform that allows you to make a lot more money. With social media, with sponsorships. I mean, I think it's give or take. Like Bellator and PFL. I mean, they pay very well. I mean, Kayla Harris, there's a reason she didn't just drop it and go to the UFC. I mean, I'm sure she had an offer from wherever she wanted to go.
Yeah, 100%.
She fights for PFL, doesn't she?
Yeah. She's currently I think she's undefeated. I think she's like 15.
She's a unit herself, man. Her striking's getting there. But I guess she started with judo and just I haven't seen a lot of her fights, but I've seen like a couple of ones recently, and I'm just like, damn, she could easily go into the UFC and be top 5. Obviously, her weight class isn't there, but I mean, if it was, I don't think it'd be a problem. I mean, she's good. She's 100%. Really good. I think we kind of talked about everything. I don't want to keep you too long. I enjoyed it, man. It was a good conversation. I saw you posted another. You just dropped another one of your episodes of your podcast, so I'm gonna give that a listen here in the next couple of days. I listened to a few of them after your manager told me that you had a podcast. I was like, I gotta check it out, and I gave it a listen. I was like, man, I like it. I like it a lot. So
yeah, I'm working on it. It's new. I'm still not super confident with like the microphone, and I'm still trying to why not try it out and why not try to just make myself grow and learn how to talk and just connect with people, and it's fun for me, so I really enjoy doing it, and I enjoy talking about fighting. Like fighting is like all I talk about, right? I don't really have much topics outside of it. Like I don't watch sport, like I don't watch football, basketball, none of that. All I know about is fighting, so it's just fun for me. So I'm happy I started that podcast. I mean, if your viewers want to go check me out at Fight Hub Podcast, we just go in there and we just chill and talk about whatever I want to talk about.
That's kind of why we started this. Like the other guy, he's not here today, Brendan, but I mean, it's like I used to be a pretty big football fan, and like I guess as I just like started watching more and more fighting, as I started training Muay Thai, I was just like, man, like I don't really like care. I guess I kind of grew out of the other sports. So like now I'm sitting here and I like watch all these fight organizations. I watch the prelims, early prelims. Same problem you have. It's like all I talk about. And I find myself like, talking about it with people that probably don't care. So we tried to kind of, like start this and, like I like getting to meet people, like at first we did do some pretty big names. Like we had Adrian Yanez on, we had Terrence McKinney. And then we kind of like try to make a transition to like guys that are a little bit, or not just guys, but people that are a little bit more younger in their careers, because it's cool to have the connection, like you said,
Yeah.
you're 21 years old. I mean, 10 years from now, I mean, there's no, I mean, the sky's the limit, it's just cool to have the connection. It's cool to watch people grow over time. And I mean, I don't really know, like, I mean, watching some of your fights, like how well-rounded you are, it's going to be really interesting to see how you grow. So, I mean,
I'm excited.
yeah, me too, man. I think that pretty much wraps it up. Had a blast. Yeah, have a conversation with you. We are going to drop some shirts here pretty soon. I know Steve sent me your information, so we'll
Yeah.
probably I'll send you a hat and a shirt. I'm gonna send Steve one. So that way you have a little bit of stuff, and that's pretty much it.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate being on here, and thank you so much, man. It was a pleasure.
I'll send you the link whenever I drop it. I'll tag you in it so you'll have it. But like I said, that wraps it up, and we'll keep in touch.
Okay.
All right. Adios.